The mask of sanity. Look at the person sitting next to you. Look at your neighbor. Now, look at yourself in the mirror. We all share a common delusion, the belief that evil is a monster that lives elsewhere. We believe it is a rare mutation, a glitch in the soul of a few bad individuals. But science tells a much darker story. Welcome to Brain Bait. Today, we are peeling back the skin of morality to examine the clockwork of cruelty. Evil is not an external force. It is a dormant sequence of code pre-installed in the human hardware. We begin with the concept of the banality of evil. In the aftermath of history's greatest horrors, we didn't find monsters with fangs. We found bureaucrats, accountants, and fathers who were just following orders. Why does the human brain have the capacity to switch off its empathy? We explore the empathy gap, a neurological phenomenon where the prefrontal cortex fails to recognize the other as human. In this void, a person becomes an object. And you can do anything to an object. This is the first secret of the science of evil. It doesn't start with hatred. It starts with indifference. The architects of obedience. In the summer of 1961, Stanley Milgram conducted an experiment that would shatter our understanding of the human heart. He proved that a simple lab coat, a symbol of authority, could convince 65% of ordinary people to deliver what they believed were lethal electric shocks to a screaming stranger. Why did they do it? Because the human brain is wired to outsource its conscience. When we are told what to do by someone in power, we enter what psychologists call the agentic state. We stop being the authors of our actions and become mere instruments. We then move to the basement of Stanford University. Philip Zimbardo showed the world how quickly a good person can become a sadist. When you give a man a mask and a badge, the individual vanishes, and the role takes over. We analyze de-individualization, the surreal process of losing one's soul to a uniform. These experiments were not just studies, they were warnings. They showed that under the right systemic pressure, your moral compass doesn't just break, it points to a new, dark north. The biology of the void, but is there a biological blueprint for the monster? We enter the world of the dark triad, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. For some, the void is literal. Brain scans of serial predators show a cold, dark amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and empathy, is effectively muted. Is evil a terminal disease? We investigate the warrior gene and the epigenetic triggers that turn a genetic predisposition into a living nightmare. However, the most chilling discovery isn't the brain of the psychopath, it's the brain of the bystander. We examine the bystander effect and the diffusion of responsibility. Science shows that the more people who witness an atrocity, the less likely any single one of them is to help. Our biology has a mute button for guilt, and we often press it without even knowing. The choice and the verdict: if the capacity for evil is biological, is the capacity for good just a lucky accident? We conclude our journey by looking at the heroic imagination. The same brain that can deliver a lethal shock can also choose to refuse it. The science of evil teaches us that the line between hero and villain is not a wall, but a thin, vibrating string. It is a daily, hourly choice. We are not prisoners of our biology, but we are certainly its students. As the ink finally settles at the bottom of the glass, ask yourself, what is your threshold? What would it take for your mask to crack? The monster isn't under the bed, and it isn't in the shadows of history. It is a potential, a shadow, and a choice. Thank you for watching Brain Bait. Remember, The most dangerous thing in the world isn't a person who is evil. It's a person who believes they could never be. Stay curious. Stay conscious.